You can look to the left, you can look to the right. You can look up, you look down. In our three-dimensional world, that leaves just two more directions to look, front and back. Like many creatures, humans clearly have a front and a back. This whole face thing that we all get, most of our holes are in the front. Holes with eyes in them are in the front. The nose, which is two holes sticking out a bit, are in front. The mouth, front and center. Hearing holes are on the side, but with protuberances called ears that can channel sound vibrations. These sounds get channeled into our ears and tell us which direction they come from, so we can face our front toward the sound. So the front is clearly important. Many people in our culture experience the future as in front of them, as if they were on a train moving down a track, leaving behind the past and moving towards the future. The very first episode of this podcast was called Put Your Future Behind You, and proposed not using the in front of us as a place to keep the future. There's something to be said for being present and simply dealing with what is in front of you. That's very often the definition people have of the present moment. It's what's in front of you. But what is in front of you? What does this mean? Does it mean whatever is in your perception field is in front of you? And that's what I want to talk about today. Hello and welcome to the 10 Crutches podcast. My name is David. I'm glad you're here. Well, for example, let's say you perceive in front of you a quiet moment in your neighborhood. You can hear birds singing, you see flowers that you planted or in the garden, you hear kids playing down the street, and then you smell smoke. You look around and you see smoke rising from a neighbor's house. By definition, what's in front of you, what you can perceive, is smoke. Smoke has a smell, and when you look, you can see it as well. But it also has a meaning. It means, obviously, there's a fire. So that's in front of you as well. There may be some way you can help your neighbor, so you run toward where the smoke is coming from. You deal with what is in front of you. But with electronic media, things have gotten way more complicated than that. Marshall McLuhan wrote about this in his 1964 book, Understanding Media. If someone sent a telegraph from Paris to New York in 1860 and said, a war has started, does that mean something is happening in front of you? We went pretty quickly from telegraph to radio and movies. I was born in 1960, and the main new media on the scene was television. We had hardly gotten used to radios and movies when television came into our living rooms. What McLuhan did was define media in a very useful way. The word media is a plural in Latin. The singular is medium. Media are extensions of the basic functions of the human body. A wheel is an example of a media because it's an extension of a foot. A wheel is also much stronger than a foot. You can go a lot farther and a lot faster with a wheel than you can with a foot. And then you attach a cart to the wheel and you can carry things just like our arms can carry things or our beasts of burden. A cart with wheels can carry things much farther than you can with your arms and your feet. And because those things can get carried farther and faster, the technology of the wheel changed the way humans lived. But most people wouldn't think of a wheel these days as a medium. But with this definition of media as an extension of the body, you can see how it fits in. It's a very useful way to think about these things. The microscope is an extension of our eye, so you can see smaller things. A telescope also extends our eyes, this time to see things far away. Thank you for allowing me to say such obvious things. You get the idea. So what about a radio? A radio extends the human voice. For almost all the time humans have been on this planet, the people you could talk to had to be physically near you. There were writing media, like books, and they liberated us from needing to speak directly to someone in the moment. A book it's kind of like a giant text message that can be read by anyone at any time. But with telephones and radios, our human voices were no longer limited by needing to be near some ears. You can speak in normal tones into a phone and someone thousands of miles away can hear you. How amazing is that? You can broadcast your voice from a radio station and thousands, perhaps millions of people can hear you simultaneously while sitting in their own homes. If you record your voice into a podcast like me and broadcast it on the internet, you might get tens of listeners. So when you add video to the audio and then add the power of the internet to broadcast, we really have to pause and consider, what does this mean? In a given present moment, with our eyes and ears trained on our phones, sitting inside our home, simply looking at a small screen, we can see and hear live streamed things that are happening all over the world. So potentially, at least, the entire world is, quote unquote, in front of us. But how can you respond, for example, in your living room to a scene of destruction happening right now, right in front of you, but thousands of miles away? This is not like smoke from the fire down the street, where it's easy to physically move your body closer to what's happening and find a way to help. You could theoretically buy an airplane ticket and get to that scene as fast as you could. But one of the other things that's happening is that all the wars, all the destruction that's happening, all the things that need our help are available right now for you to see on your phone, for you to become aware of, for them to be happening in front of you. But there can easily be so many places that need your help. It can be hard to choose one from all the ones that you are seeing happening right in front of you. Even though you can see and hear from everywhere, you can only be one place at a time. So really, what is happening in front of you? I found it useful to turn to Susan Sontag while I was thinking about this. She wrote a book called On Photography, a collection of essays she wrote over a period of several years. She makes really thoughtful and thought-provoking points. For sure, if you read her book, you will find yourself challenged as to how you view photographic images, which are still so important in our culture. Sontag was writing in the 1970s, well before humans began flooding our reality with AI-generated photos and videos, along with the other human-created photos and videos. But ever since the invention of the camera and the mass production of the camera for general use, there was still plenty to say about photographic images. And Sontag wrote brilliantly about, for example, people had started to claim, if there's no photo, it didn't happen. That was back then, so it's not new in case you thought it was. One of the main claims she makes about photographs is that they pretend to explain a scene. They claim to be able to give you knowledge of a thing that happened, or in the case of video streaming, a thing that's happening. But there is always the rest of reality that exists outside the frame of the camera. No image or photo or video can ever give you a complete picture, if you will, of what is happening. In fact, you can hear how the words, I want to have a complete picture of what is happening. You can hear how that can never come to pass. A picture is always framed, always cut off. A picture always leaves something out. Another main point Sontag makes is that we all have to, as modern people, interacting with this technology, we all have to confront a world where tremendous suffering is represented by photo or video from places we have no access to. All that suffering is happening, and we can, in a way, see it, but we can do nothing about it directly in that moment that we are viewing it. Is this a good thing? Since it's happening, is it good to be able to record it and keep it? Certainly, it's very, very hard to experience it that way. All of this is to say our eyes and ears can now tune into things across the globe, and we can now have a war unfolding in front of us in real time. But it isn't really folding in front of us. We're sitting in our home, maybe eating some potato chips even. As anyone who has actually lived through a war can tell you, there is no way to represent even close to what that is when it's actually being experienced. Where does this leave us? I don't know. I just have two suggestions. The first is to recognize we humans are monkeys with shiny objects. To have a computer in your pocket with more computing power than existed in all of the United States just 75 years ago, that's astounding. It takes getting used to, and we are not, as a species, in any way used to having such power in our pockets. The second suggestion is that if you want to make the world a better place, realize that doing it literally in front of you is still the only place to do that, wherever in front of you may be. And the power of our new tools makes in front of you this present moment, our new tools make that more confusing than ever before. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next time. Please visit the home of the 10 Crutches podcast at 10crutches.link. That's 10crutches.link. The book that inspired the podcast, a book I wrote called 10 Crutches for Walking in the Present, is available for free download on the website. While you are there, please take advantage of two ways to contact me. You can send me an email, or you can make a voice recording. If you have a great question, I may be able to use it for the podcast. Also on the website, you can visit the archive to hear any published episode and see show notes for any and every show. Thanks so much for listening, and once again, thanks so much for listening, and I won't say it once again. See you next time.